It is day 7 of how many games can I beat in a year, and I've had no change since day 5. Day 5, I beat game number 18. And then on day 6, I was not able to complete any games. I just didn't have enough time. And that's gonna happen sometimes. But I've got time today, so may as well do some more games. Trying to go for a couple that I'm more familiar with compared to previously. I've been doing some, like I knew I could do, but not games that I'm super confident in just being able to come in and beat. And Punch-Out is one of those games I am super confident in. It's definitely one of those games where, in theory, it is really short. But if you're unfamiliar with it, it's probably not going to be a one-day type of game. Because it does get very difficult if you aren't already super familiar with how each fight goes. And there are some pretty difficult fights later on, but I don't think it should take me more than a few tries to do any fight. Really, what's going to make this kind of a longer game, just probably open live split, is just that you do have to do every fight twice, and they get harder and longer. During title defense. Although I guess harder for sure. I don't think there's any fight I would say is easier in title defense. But I don't know that all of them are necessarily longer. Because Great Tiger has the instant knockout. Whereas I don't think he has an equivalent in Contender. I did mess up the instant knockout in Glass Joe. This is also an instant knockout for Von Kaiser. You can defeat him in only 5 punches. That's one of the challenges if you were to try and complete all the challenges, which I have done before. But basically, you would just, as he's punching, you would counter. Dodge his next attack, punch him once. 3-star punch him when he's doing that animation, and fight is over. That's honestly easier than the Glass Joe one. The Glass Joe, when he taunts, you have to hit him, and then on his way back you hit him again to get a 2nd star, and then you have to alternate 3 punches to the head, 3 punches to the gut, keep alternating that way till you get the last star, and then when he does Viva La France, then 3-star punch him, and that's instant knockout. There are instant knockdown strategies for Disco Kid. Anytime he taunts, if you star punch him, he will go down. I don't think he has an instant knockout, though. One thing, though, that makes Contender pretty fast and easy is as long as you can get star punches, you're pretty much guaranteed to be able to land them, because no opponent will purposefully dodge a star punch. They'll just stand there and take it. It's in title defense that they start. In title defense, they do start purposefully dodging your attacks, or your star punches rather, so you have to wait till they're stunned or wait for a good opportunity to. So yeah, star punch him there, instant knockdown. Really, there's not many fights I think I should be going to a 2nd round in. Maybe a couple I will end up, but I generally know strategies to beat them in round 1, and that's going to come in very useful when fighting Son of Popinski. Title defense, because I think Son of Popinski is the hardest fight in the game, and if I don't beat him in round 1, it's going to be a toss-up whether I can beat him. I feel kind of the same way with Mr. Sandman as well. If I don't beat him in round 1, I don't know that I'm going to be able to beat him. At least not easily. But everyone else, even if I do end up with going to round 2, I'm still pretty confident I should be able to beat them. Even Bald Bull title defense, I don't think Bald Bull is that much of an issue compared to Son of Popinski and Mr. Sandman. And Super Macho Man's also not that bad. King Hippo, I don't know quite as well. There is some like thing you can do maybe to knock him down quicker or knock him out quicker. I'm not really familiar with how to do that though. But King Hippo has a lot more health and defense than most other fighters, but you only have to knock him down once and the fight will be over, which was the same in the original NES Punch-Out. I'm pretty sure. NES Punch-Out I'm not super familiar with. I've never beaten NES Punch-Out, which I should. I need to find my whatever clone console I have that can play NES games. I don't have an actual NES. I want one, but I just don't have one yet. But I do have a physical copy of NES Punch-Out, so I need to find my console I can play that on. But I'm not familiar enough with original Punch-Out to be able to confidently beat it. Plus, I don't know where NES Punch-Out really ends. Do you have to beat Mike Tyson, or is that just a bonus fight after you beat the game? Like, you don't have to beat Donkey Kong in this game. Donkey Kong's just a bonus fight. But you do have to, I would argue, you do have to beat Rick Bruiser, or Nick Bruiser, rather, in Super Punch-Out. I don't think it'd be fair to say that you can just beat the World Circuit and then be done. You'd have to do the Special Circuit, or whatever it's called. It is Special Circuit, I think.
Hey, great work, Mac. Now let's take down the next circuit.
But I know,
Quick feet, Mac. Quick feet.
like, how many losses in a row you get on a certain
Work 'em,
fight.
Mac. Work 'em. Left, right,
Or not
left, right.
in a row on a certain fight, but how many losses you get
Keep it up, Mac.
depends on how much you have to restart in each Punch-Out game. In this game, it's just try till you win. There's no punishment for failing other than A, you have to restart the fight, and B, it goes on your record. Which, if you do want to 100% the game, you can't 100% the game with a perfect record and not get any losses, because you do have to purposefully lose to Glass Joe for one of the challenges. So you wouldn't be able to get a perfect record, but still. Then I know Super Punch-Out, you get a certain number of losses you can get, and if you... Alright, I messed that up really badly. I think if... I don't know if you get 3 stars and then punch him when he starts bowing, if that's an instant knockout. But even just getting any star punch would be an instant knockdown at least. But in Super Punch-Out, if you get too many losses in the circuit, oh, I thought that was too late. Maybe it's if you have 3 stars when he starts doing the Honda Rush. I don't remember. But it would have been instant knockdown anyway. So I should have just punched him and not done the star punch, but I guess it doesn't matter because he always does the Hondo Rush after the second knockdown. If you can counter it, instant knockdown. I don't know if he has an instant knockout. We had Super Punch Out. If you lose too much, you have to restart the entire circuit. And then I know there's something similar in Original Punch Out. I don't know if it's restart the circuit or if it's restart the entire game. But again, I'm not familiar enough with NES Punch Out to even attempt that. I probably will attempt Super Punch Out, but that one's going to be a bit trickier. I'm going to have to relearn some of the fights. Because I've only beaten Super Punch Out a handful of times. But this game, I played every few months, pretty much. Definitely beaten this game many, many, many times. Bear Hugger, though, I do think can actually be pretty tricky. Because his attacks are pretty... They can be kind of difficult to counter, I think. And that's going to be very relevant in the title defense version of the fight. Because in title defense, you don't get many hits on him unless you have star punches. That was muscle memory, or just not thinking. Because I tend to use star punches like as soon as I get them, at least in Contender, just because I know they're not going to dodge. But in Contender, Bear Hugger's not that difficult. It gets a bit trickier in title defense. And honestly, he might be a little trickier than some of the other fights after him. But I guess it kind of depends. I don't really know how difficult Great Tiger is if you're not getting the instant knockout, because I'm definitely going to go for the instant knockout. Title defense Great Tiger, that is, because I don't know if he has instant knockdowns in Contender. I don't know if he has an instant knockout. We're only 11 minutes and getting near the end of the major circuit. That's pretty good. There's one thing that's always been interesting about Great Tiger for me. Is you'd think he gets harder in title defense, and in some ways he does. But he doesn't telegraph his attacks with the colors like he does in Contender, like he does in title defense. So it is just kind of interesting that it seems like he's more telegraphed in title defense. But I mean, to be fair, in Contender, his attacks aren't that fast. It's not that difficult to tell what he's gonna do. I mean, obviously he does telegraph his jab. And yeah, instant knockdown is just countering that attack. He telegraphs which Self is gonna go first. If it's the clone, you don't have to worry, because it's not gonna damage you. But then you do have to counter his actual move.
Great.
And then don't know why Don Flamenco's the Major Circuit champion. Because he has a... Well, I mean, I guess if you don't know the stun lock, maybe he's harder. But I don't know. I always kind of found that, honestly, Piston Hondo and Bear Hugger are kind of harder than Great Tiger and Don Flamenco. There is a instant... Dude, my Wii Remote lagged. There's an instant knockout for Don Flamenco. I just don't really know how it works. I know it involves, like, hitting him a bunch of times in his stun lock and then star punching him. I don't know if it has to be if it can be any star punch or if it has to be 3-star.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
But there is an instant knockout. I'm just not familiar enough with it to, like, guarantee do it. Like, kind of bad, honestly. Does I have to go to round 2 with Don Flamenco? It doesn't look like it. Yeah. Should be able to beat him in a minute. Because he's not going to respawn with full health. And then even though I will knock off his toupee, I can still do the infinite stun lock, so... Oh, he did spawn with full health. Okay, never mind. I think he stopped doing this attack. I didn't even knock off his toupee. That's interesting. Usually I do. I don't think I've ever beat him without, other than the instant knockout. I don't know that I've ever beaten him just without knocking off his toupee. I don't know what determines when it's knocked off, because it wouldn't be damage, because I dealt full damage I could to him. So I don't know, maybe it's how much damage you do to him compared to how much damage he's doing to you. And since he got me with his flurry, I don't remember what the exact move's called. Rose Flurry or something. But since he got me with that multiple times, maybe he did too much damage to me to where that balanced out. I don't know. Or maybe it's dependent on, like, how much damage I was doing at certain times. I don't know. Yeah, maybe this game will be actually a bit shorter than I thought. Because it's been less than 20 minutes and we're already on the World Circuit. You know, most people say Aaron Ryan title defense is one of the most fun fights in the game. I think I agreed with that for a while, but the more you play this game, and the more you're, like, super familiar with each fight, ah, shoot. The easier the fights become, the more familiar you are with them, obviously. And so I think the more familiar you become with them and the easier they become, the more it tends to be more fun to actually do the harder fights. So I think I honestly have the most fun trying to beat Soda Popinski because of just how hard that fight is.
One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I do think, though, how familiar I am with this game and how much I know, like, each fight and the strategies to beat everyone, to me is why I disagree with what I've seen some people say and say this game just needs, like, a remaster or a re-release. Because, yeah, this game is really good, doesn't need any improvements. But I know all the fights so well that there's no challenge to it, you know? That's why I want a new Punch-Out game. So I can have these new fights, and it be a challenge again. You know, a new experience, even if it's still just Punch-Out, you know? I don't mind if they make a new Punch-Out game, and it pretty much plays exactly like this, but it has new fights. That's kind of all I want. If they remake or re-release this game, it's still the same game. I still know how to do every fight. It's not going to be a worthwhile new experience for me, because I'm already so familiar with this game. To be fair, though, I'm not even done with all the Punch-Out games. There still is NES Punch-Out I need to beat, and then the arcade games. But I do still want a new Punch-Out game. Yeah, I'm gonna restart that. That was so bad. Dude, even in Contender, Soda Popinski's not necessarily super easy. Though there are some strategies, actually, in Title Defense to make him a little easier than normal. Or not easier, but to keep him in a loop to where you can beat him easily. And it's very similar to this. Just harder because he has different moves, faster attacks, he's more unpredictable. So that's kind of gonna be how I approach Soda Popinski in Title Defense. It's kind of just gonna be, I kind of just need to restart until I get a good enough start to where I can be able to beat him quickly. Because I don't know that it's going to be worth it to keep going further and further into different rounds and try and beat him and then possibly lose and have to restart anyway. Since they give you the option to restart, may as well. Because I don't think you can just restart as many times as you want in, like, Super Punch-Out. Still fairly confident in Super Punch-Out. It would just be learning the fights. Or relearning each fight, rather. And honestly, I kind of feel like in Super Punch-Out, generally speaking, I kind of find Rick Bruiser to be harder than Nick Bruiser. Generally speaking, that's been my experience.
1, 2.
Because Rick Bruiser and Nick Bruiser, they're not that bad really. They just have like, each have one kind of awkward attack to dodge, and I find Rick Bruiser's is a little harder. Sometimes though, for Bolt Bull, for Contender, my muscle memory gets a little unreliable. Because how you get stars on Bolt Bull is after you hit him the last time when he's stunned, you then have to hit him when he's coming back twice. And then you'll get a star. But the number of hits he has during each stun is different per attack and different in each version of the fight. So like when he does his jab and you stun him, you can hit him twice before he starts being unstunned. But in Contender, you can only hit him once. And there's different moves that is like, it's 3 hits in this version of the fight, it's 4 hits in this version of the fight, 5 hits in this version of the fight. So Contender can, because obviously, you know, the better you get at the game, the more you're gonna spend on the title defense versions of the fights, since those are the trickier fights. You would want to, you know, play something with a bit more challenge. I don't think most people would. You know, just want to fight Glass Joe over and over. So I've definitely played the title defense version of a lot of these fights way more than I have Contender. So if there is some muscle memory involved that's different per fight, I probably know the muscle memory for the title defense fight better. Super Macho Man is different with that though. Because how you get stars is, I think, the same per fight, but it is slightly easier. I forgot this was an infinite stun lock. I think it's infinite at least.
Come on. Fight. Crunch.
But in Contender, to get stars on Super Macho Man, when he attacks from the left, like that attack, after a stun you hit him twice, I think, on when he's coming back, and you get a star that way, similar to Bolt Bull. It's a little easier in Super Macho Man though, compared to Bolt Bull. And then when he's attacking from the right, you just have to delay your punch for a bit. And in title defense, you don't get any visual cues. You have to just go based on feeling. But there is actually a visual cue you can use in Contender. It's just after he attacks, when his mouth closes, then hit him and you'll get a star. It's the same timing, I think, in title defense. It's just he doesn't close his mouth. So it's harder to tell when that timing is, but I think it still works the same. Just what makes Super Macho Man a bit trickier and longer in title defense is those are kind of the only ways to get stars, other than if he does, you know, some of his taunts. Because there's no attack you can actually combo in the Super Macho Man fight to get stars, like you can in this fight or in Soda Popinski. I think Bolt Bull and Super Macho Man you can't. And so in title defense for Super Macho Man, you can only really get stars when he taunts or when he does those two specific attacks. And since he has a lot more attacks, you just don't get as many opportunities to get stars. But yeah, sometimes Super Macho or Mr. Sandman can be hard. He does attack pretty fast and can be a little unpredictable. He's definitely more predictable than Soda Popinski, because he'll often, if he's doing his downwards attack, he's gonna generally do it multiple times in a row. He kind of starts a combo with that and continues. But there are often times, even in title defense, where you can kind of just keep jabbing up at him. Or no, is that a jab? That's is it? Which one's? Is it jab and hook? Are the two moves? I don't know. Punching him in the face. You can kind of just keep punching him in the face, kind of in a rhythm a little bit, and then you can kind of keep doing that in a rhythm, and even if you're not getting stars, you are at least countering his moves, and that's kind of a little safer than trying to dodge. That's mostly what I'm going to be doing in the title defense version of the fight as well. And then I don't really feel the need to play this minigame. I have played this credits minigame so many times. But yeah, this is also still going with the definition of what actually constitutes beating a game. Yes, this is the credits, but I don't consider this the end of the game. Because, yeah, we became the champion, but really the end of the game, the ending cutscene, is after Mac's last stand. So I am going to consider finishing Mac's last stand is the win condition for this game, even though these are the credits. We have to get the actual ending and the real true credits. If you did just count credits, this would be an incredibly short game, only 30 minutes. Honestly, a little shorter than I thought. I thought this game was going to be a bit longer, but only 30 minutes for Contender? It's not going to be that much longer for title defense. It just depends on how many fights I maybe go into a second round on. I don't think that's going to be too many, though. I could see it maybe happening on, like, maybe Bear Hugger, maybe Piston Hondo. Other than that, I don't really see... Oh, maybe Super Macho Man. Super Macho Man title defense isn't hard. Because a lot of people, and I definitely agree, that Super Macho Man kind of feels like he's put in the wrong spot. Because he's even in Contender, he's just way easier than Soda Popinski and Super Macho Man. Or not Super Macho Man, Bald Bull. And especially a first-time player going from Bald Bull title defense, where you need to get stars to even knock him down, and it's one of the hardest fights in the game. And then going to Super Macho Man, and he's kind of just a bit harder. Super Macho Man kind of seems like a bit of the opposite of a difficulty spike. A bit easier compared to...
Hey, great work, Mac. Now let's take down the next challenger. Left, right, left, right.
It's a bit easier compared to what we were just coming off of.
Push it out, Mac. Come on, push it out.
But I will say, one of the things that does make
Quick feet, Mac.
Super Macho Man a little trickier in title defense
Keep it up, Mac. Keep
is
it up.
not necessarily that he's harder to beat, but it is actually, I feel, harder to beat him in one round compared to a lot of the other fights. Soda Popinski, as long as you're getting stars and keeping him kind of in a predictable state, you can beat him pretty easily. Or not easily, but quickly in round one. Bold Bull, as long as you're getting stars, you can knock him down. You can do that in one round. Mr. Sandman's the same way, especially because he has his like ending flurry thing he does, and as long as you get some decent hits on him, you're kind of guaranteed to win at that point. But Super Macho Man, since you don't have as many opportunities to get stars, it can be a little trickier to beat him in one round, to beat him quickly at least.
1, 2, 3. Come on, come on. Fight.
So I think that would be... I don't know, hit that too early. I think that would be the fight I would most feel could go into round two. I would say the top three most likely to go into round two would be Super Macho Man, Super Macho Man, Bear Hugger, and maybe Piston Hondo. I don't really remember the Piston Hondo fight that well, though. That was really poor play, though, in Glass Joe. You can get him with an infinite stun lock. Just whenever his helmet turns yellow, then hit him in the stomach and you'll get a Star Punch. And then just hit him with a Star Punch immediately after, and he just gets stun lock like that. Von Kaiser, though, definitely... Because Glass Joe has an instant knockout in Contender, and then he has a stun lock in Title Defense. Von Kaiser's not like that. He's kind of just a normal fight. Can you not get stars from that move? No, you can. It's just the timing's different. And that's a lot of what they do change in Title Defense as well. If they change some of the timings on how to get stars to make them more strict. And that's going to be even sometimes in Bald Bull. In Bald Bull Title Defense, that can still be an issue. I shouldn't have Star Punched there, but in Bald Bull Title Defense, the timing is different, so it's a lot harder to get stars compared to Contender, even though it's the same way to do it, it's just the timing is more strict. And the opponent is standing still and you try and do a star punch, in title defense they will always dodge. But if they're coming back from being stunned and you get it in quickly enough, you can still hit them. They don't have to be stunned for you to hit them, they just have to be in some sort of animation to where they're not able to dodge and you're able to get the hit in. Disco Kid, though, also isn't gonna be that difficult. Actually, I do find Disco Kid can be somewhat tricky. Just because I find those, some of his moves to be a little tricky to counter because the timing is different. And as you can see, I'm not getting any stars, even though in Contender, that would have been guaranteed to get stars. But the timing is different. So instead of just countering his move, it's counter with good timing. And this is probably going to go to round 2. I'm not playing well at all. But again, this is also possibly the thing where when I do replay this game and I'm just doing like different fights, I'm just gonna keep him at low health. So I did not know that healed him. Interesting.
Oh yeah, here we go, here we go.
How about you never seen that? I did not know if you let him. I don't think I've ever let him finish that animation and seen him heal. I did not know that was possible. But yeah, since I mostly play the harder fights, I actually don't know some of the earlier fights as well. That's why I'm struggling a little bit on Disco Kid, whereas normally I wouldn't. I don't know though if he's doing a taunt if you star punch him. I don't know if it's still an instant knockdown or not.
1, 2, 3, 4.
But this is a strategy you can use as well to kind of, if you have to go to round 2. If you already know round 2's coming, there's no point in knocking him down.
I can teach you how to move. 1, 2. Oh yeah, here we go, here we go. 1, 2.
Since you're just gonna have to knock him down the 3 times in the next round anyway. So just keep him at low health.
And 1, and 2.
Until you get to that second round. And then you get a pretty free knockdown right at the beginning of the round.
1, 2.
So then you pretty much have the entire round to get only 2 knockdowns, unlike in round 1 where you have to get all 3 knockdowns. And in theory, you don't have to win any fight by TKO, you can win by KO. But you can't rely on that. I don't know how often it is you can knock someone down twice in round 1, and then twice in round 2, and that be a KO. I don't think that's very common. So you're better off, instead of knocking him down twice in round 1 and then trying to finish it twice in round 2, it's a lot better just to only knock him down once in round 1, keep him at low health, and then go for the TKO in round 2. King Hippo, I think, is one of those fights that when you first play the game and you don't know how to fight him, it gets really tricky. But when you know how the fight works and what it actually wants from you, I think it becomes pretty easy. I did hit him a little too early there. But the thing is you'll notice a lot of times there are times where you try to counter him like you did in Contender, and that doesn't work. And then sometimes you do it, and it does. And it may kind of seem random. The thing is you can only stun him when his mouth is open. So he didn't open his mouth there, he didn't open his mouth there. So I was not able to stun him. His mouth was open there, so I could stun him. And that's kind of the main gist of the fight. And once you know that, then it really isn't that bad. Where's my charger? There it is. Because it's kind of the same as... the Contender fight. Just knock him down once and you win. Looks like this is also going to go to round 2. I don't know, do I usually beat King Hippo in one round?
Hey, Mac, baby.
I think I do, but I don't know what I would normally do differently. It was probably just... yeah, if I had gotten the counter on his... or the stun on his, special move the first time, and then gotten that other hit on him, it would have been one round, but... oh well, it didn't take too long into round 2 to beat him. Definitely is getting a little longer though. It was 30 minutes to beat the entirety of Contender, but 15 minutes to get through just the minor circuit of title defense. The title defense is definitely where it picks up in length. The major circuit, I'm honestly probably just not quite as familiar with as World Circuit. And that might be why some of it can be a bit tricky to me. But you need to go through and just learn the fights better. Especially Great Tiger. I don't know how long it's been since I fought Great Tiger normally. You do the instant knockout. And if you weren't doing the instant knockout, like, how hard is Great Tiger actually? Because getting the instant knockout is really not that difficult. It can be tricky to execute, but the setup's not hard at all. And it really comes down just to the execution at the end. And honestly, instead of trying to fight Great Tiger the intended way, it's probably easier just to keep restarting until you get the instant knockout. Piston Hondo can sometimes be a little tricky because of how fast he is. I don't remember how little he actually gets stunned. Oh, right, that's what makes Piston Hondo a little tricky. One, I don't know if you can get stars on him or not. At least not in the same way. You could do it in Contender. But Piston Hondo is... alright, that just gives you a star now instead of knocking him down. But Piston Hondo is, like, really good. at like delaying his attacks in a way that makes it actually pretty difficult
1, 2,
to dodge. Because sometimes it'll be a slight delay, sometimes he'll delay it a lot. If you really aren't familiar with how he moves, that can just make the fight super, super difficult. Honestly, Piston Hondo is one of the few fights that I think is harder more so in just how he moves and how he delays his attacks and how they changed his attacks and his specials and everything compared to a lot of other fights. Because Bulk Bull type of defense, dude, I'm gonna just actually restart, dude. That's a really, really bad start. I knew Piston Hondo tower defense is actually no joke. But like both Bull type of defense, he's only harder because you have to get a star punch. His actual moves, though, I don't think are that bad. Soda Popinski's main thing that makes him harder isn't necessarily that his moves are harder. His moves are kind of the same. It's just he's way less predictable because he, like, in the contender fight, for Soda Popinski, he doesn't use some of his harder to dodge attacks until a lot later in the fight. Whereas he starts using them way earlier on. In title defense. Super Macho Man really isn't that much trickier in title defense. He is a little, but I think I'm gonna have to wait till round 2. Dude, the Hondo Rush is actually just like really, really difficult to deal with in this version. I always try and counter it because I honestly don't know if I'm gonna make it through. Without countering it. Then Mr. Sandman, kind of just harder because his attacks are faster and he varies it up more than he does in Contender. But Piston Hondo is really just the way he delays a lot of his moves and how they changed his special. Can actually make him like really difficult. And like Bear Hugger, he's more difficult just because the way his stun works. I feel like though there is something I'm forgetting about fighting Piston Hondo. I think maybe there is a way to get stars on him and I'm just not remembering. I feel like I usually don't go to round 2 with Piston Hondo. There's a lot of other fights that, like, technically they're harder, but I wouldn't necessarily say that they're, like, you know, very, like, it's not with how much different they are, it's just, like, generic. Oh, he has more attacks in this fight. Some of his moves are a little trickier to dodge or trickier to counter. You don't get star punches as often, things like that. I think even some are kind of the same difficulty. I wouldn't really say Don Flamenco's that much harder, because you can still do the stun lock on him. Bear Hugger, though, is definitely about countering his attacks, getting the star punches. If you are not focused at all on star punches, and you're just trying to beat him without countering any of his moves, you're probably only going to win by decision, because you are just not going to be able to deal enough damage to him to be able to knock him down much at all. His gimmick with Bear Hugger is, if you stun him, you can, no matter what move he just did, you can only hit him twice during each stun. And the way to be able to hit him more in a stun is to star punch him. And the number of star punches, stars you have in your punch determines how many punches you can get on him during a stun. And that's one thing that can kind of make Bear Hugger a bit easier if you're like really, really good. I forgot about that, dude. If you're really, really good at like countering just all of his moves, or getting lucky with how much he's trying to fake out, then the fight is actually pretty easy, because a 3-star punch is always an instant knockdown. But you can pretty easily win the fight if you were to just counter all of his first 3 attacks per knockdown. But again, I find sometimes Bear Hugger's moves can be pretty hard to counter.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come on, fight. I'm gonna stop you.
Oh my gosh, dude.
1, 2, 3, 4. Catch and release.
I may have to just see if I can win by decision. I need to actually just like start hitting him.
I'm gonna stop you.
I just don't know the timings that well. And I feel like the timing is pretty strict. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to go to round 3. Really wanted that star going in though, but at least I can get another star. 2 stars? 3 stars going in round 3 is pretty good, other than I've already used the chocolate, so I can't restore any health. It kind of makes it a little...
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a little bit of a gamble, because I wanted to knock him down before using my 3-star punch, because that would have been 2 knockdowns instantly. But yeah, I just am not remembering the timings on him. I do think it's not necessarily that Bear Hugger's a way harder fight than any other fight in the game. I just don't fight him as often as I do some of the other fights. think I can pretty much guarantee I will win by decision as long as I don't go down again. But obviously I don't want to have to win by decision. If I can help it. Especially with how low his health is. It's definitely, I just don't know the timing. Like, whatever I think the timing is, I don't know if that's the contender timing, or if I just don't know the timing very well, but I'm definitely just not hitting him at the right time. I think I'm going a little later than I should be.
You can always take a whooping. Stand.
Like, I just need to put it more in my muscle memory that you have to go a little earlier than I'm thinking. Yeah, hitting the hour mark, though, and being on Great Tiger is actually pretty good. There's not that much game left. I will still have to do Max Last Stand, which is going to take some time, but it's not difficult at all. It's just going to be just a little bit of menuing and a little bit of idling, because how you beat Max Last Stand is you actually just lose 3 times. Yeah, I am going to try the instant knockout for Great Tiger. And it's pretty easy to do. Because first off, he telegraphs what attack he's going to do with the colored gems. Then when he does this attack, you just hit him after both of his attacks. That gets you a star, you lose the star, and you restart because you can't do the instant knockout without a star. But again, he does telegraph which attack he's gonna do. So in theory, that makes it easier than Contender, but it's not really that hard to dodge his moves or tell what he's gonna do in Contender. So I don't think that necessarily makes it easier rather. It still does make it somewhat easy, and it's interesting that that's what they decided to introduce in Title Defense. But yeah, then after you get the star, when he does that attack, he's gonna do clones on both sides. One of them's real that will hit you, one of them is fake that won't hit you. And you have to, he's always gonna do 3 the first time, and it's always gonna be alternating. I don't know if the start is consistent or if it's random, but there he started with the real one on the right. So it was right, left, right. And the first time he does it, that's going to be consistent. If it starts on the left, it's going to be left, right, left. If it starts on the right, it's going to be right, left, right. And you have to counter it. I don't think you can just dodge it. You have to counter all 3 of them. Then he's going to do his final attack where he spins around. You duck under that, star punch him, and that will instantly knock him out. So it's just get a star, counter the 3 clones, duck, star punch, and that will instantly knock him down or knock him out every single time. And really, what does make that kind of tricky to do is the timing on countering the clones can actually be rather difficult. And again, it is that instant knockout that, I struggled on. I struggled on the other fights I wasn't super familiar with, but then, you know, give a fight that,
Carmen, mi amor.
that has a easy win condition, and, it's a lot easier. A lot easier, a lot quicker.
1, 2,
Especially because it is just so easy to get the first star.
4, 5.
The first time he does that combo of moves, it's only ever going to be 2. He's only ever going to do 2 moves, and it is consistently going to be green and blue. The order is random. It might be blue then green, or it might be green then blue, but it's always going to be those 2, and it's always going to be both of them. He's never going to do red in that combo, he's never going to do white in that combo, he's never going to do blue-blue, he's never going to do green-green. So it's going to be either blue-green or green-blue. And that's what I think makes the instant knockdown or knockout very easy in Great Tiger, is because he has such easy to remember patterns and an easy process to do it. If you were to try and do it like later in the fight, that's going to be extremely difficult. But considering getting the star is the same every time, you just have to make note of what the starting one is. And then also, since with his clones he always alternates between direction, it's just learning the timings is all you're really doing. And really, it is just with the clones, that's the only timing you really have to learn. It's pretty obvious when you can hit him after his combo. And then when he's spinning around, it's very easy to duck, and then just as soon as you're done ducking, Star Punch. So I think that's what makes that very, very easy compared to maybe some other... How it could have been. It could have been a lot harder if he did more in his combo at first, or if he did more clones in his special, or if it was completely random. Just given how predictable it is. That's what makes it hard. Or not even really hard, but that's the hard part about it.
Here's one of my favorites, man.
I always found, though, it was a little lame with Aaron Ryan, just how easy and predictable they made his special. Like, Great Tiger special is really difficult to dodge. If you just, like, show up at a random point in the fight, and it's harder to predict what he's gonna do. And then this one's just, he literally shows you exactly what he's going to do, and then he does it. There's never any trickery to it. It's not like... It's not like he's gonna show one thing and then, oh, this part was a little different. No, he's gonna just do the same thing every time.
1, 2,
I guess not every special is necessarily harder than the previous one.
6, 7.
The hardest special in the game is honestly probably the Bull Charge. But even then, I would say, like, Piston Hondo's Hondo Rush is a lot trickier to... is a lot trickier to dodge than, or deal with than, Don Flamenco's Rose Flurry. So it's not like every special console gets harder and harder. Because I do think, like, Soda Popinski's, where he just does a bunch of uppercuts in a row, that's honestly not that hard to deal with. And I would say, honestly, Super Macho Man's is probably harder than the Dreamland Express because ducking 3 times in a row can actually be, that quickly, can actually be a bit harder than dodging left or right 3 times in a row. This is going to be Soda Popinski. This is how I'm going to approach Soda Popinski to try and beat him. I'm going to just try and beat him. Knowing the moves that he does, just about, I'm going to try and beat him as quickly as possible. And part of that is going to be to try and make him as predictable as possible. He's always going to start with that move, similar to how he does in Contender. And he's always going to start with 2 of them. And I need to restart because I've already lost it to where I'm not going to be able to know what he's doing. But he's going to do this twice. So if you can get 2 star punches and then punch him, anytime you star punch him, he's going to do this move. And since that's just, he's going alternating left, right, it's super predictable. Plus when he starts trying to drink, that's pretty easy to dodge. Or to counter, rather. And then that's going to make him do the uppercut again, which is predictable. When he gets up from being knocked down, he's going to do it again. I didn't know if he was going to do it twice or not, and then this is where it really just starts to get super hard if you don't know what he's about to do. So I really just needed to cash out on the other Star Punch I had, not worry about it anymore. But just the most you can keep him predictable, keep him doing this move as much as possible. That's what's going to make Soda Popinski way easier. Dude, it's been a while, you can tell. Plus, sometimes in this game, I don't know why, but it's like, maybe the game lags or something. Kind of starts feeling like you can press a lot of buttons and Little Mac just moves slower. I don't know if that's related to the stamina he has, or if it's some, like, glitch with the Wii Remote. I almost didn't cash out there. If I didn't cash out, I don't know that I would be in a good spot. Nope. Now I really just have to hope I can figure out what he's gonna do. He loves to like do an instant attack right after he does one. Especially with the uppercut, so like chain 2 together really quickly. And as if just how hard of a fight this is and how unpredictable he can be wasn't enough, they also had to do some stun shenanigans. Where the number of hits you can get in a stun is dependent on how many attacks of his you've dodged in a row. So if you only dodge 1 attack in a row, you can only hit him twice in a stun. Dodge another attack, that's 3 in a row, 4 in a row, and so on. I don't know if it goes up infinitely or if there's a cap to it. But if you are finding it really hard to predict what he's going to do next, and you keep getting hit, then each time you do successfully dodge an attack, you're only getting those 2 hits on him in a stun, and that just really is what makes the fight super hard, how little you can actually hit him, and how unpredictable he is. Bald Bull, most people say, is the hardest fight in the game. I actually disagree. I think once you know how to get stars on him, he's not nearly as hard as Soda Popinski, because I think he's just way more predictable and a bit slower than Soda Popinski. See, I'm not getting stars, because the timing is very different. But there's a star there, and I've not gotten hit a single time. Because I just don't think his moves are that hard to dodge. He does do one new move, but it's super easy to dodge, because when you... Sometimes when I think, oh, he's doing this move, and then I dodge too quickly, oh no, he's doing the other move, I still have plenty of time to dodge the other way. That is his hardest move, though, or other than the bull charge. That's his most unpredictable move, is when he's about to jab and you don't know how long he's actually going to take before he jabs. Yeah, I can just... This is also why I think Bald Bull's just easier. Because Soda Popinski, I was struggling with, trying to remember how to do it. Bald Bull, I just casually threw out a Star Punch Bull Charge counter. Because the countering him on the Bull Charge does still do the kind of instant knockdown. It's just you won't fully get knocked down, because you have to knock him down with a Star Punch to actually be able to knock him down. If you do all of his damage without a Star Punch, he'll just get back up and restore a little bit of health. But since it would have been an instant knockdown with the Bull Charge, instead of trying to counter it normally, or trying to dodge it 3 times, which that's actually the most difficult thing to do, is just dodging the Bull Charge normally. I legitimately think that's true. It's way easier to try countering it, even with a Star Punch, than it is just to straight up dodge it. But it was way more worth it just to try and get a double Star Punch Bull Charge counter than it would have been to do anything else. Because getting the Star Punch would be instant knockdown, doing anything else wouldn't have. And that is one of the challenges, I think, for Contender, though, is to counter the Bull Charge with a Star Punch. And I mean, you can just tell how many times I've done it. I kind of know the timing for the Bull Charge. So I can even do it with a Star Punch. But you see, getting stars is still possible. Again, no visual cue on the other move. But getting stars is the same. It's not even really different timing like a lot of other fights have. It's just after the first knockdown, he's going to start doing different moves that you just straight up can't get Star Punches on, as far as I know. So while they may not be like super difficult moves to dodge, and the fight may just not be as hard as Soda Popinski, because he's not nearly as unpredictable as Soda Popinski, and you don't need a Star Punch to knock him down. He doesn't have a super special requirement like Bald Bull. You just don't get stars as often, so while it's not more difficult, it is a bit harder to be able to beat him quickly.
Super Macho Man! Hey! Wipe!
But it's actually not that bad. Really, it's kind of an easy fight. And again, I mean, you can tell just how much harder of a fight Soda Popinski is. Bubble and Super Macho Man, absolutely no trouble on them. But I struggled quite a bit with Soda Popinski. Now for the final fight. The game's not over after this fight, but it is the final fight that I have to win, at least. Mr. Sandman. I've always found Mr. Sandman to actually be quite difficult, too. It's really just I have to get the ending right, and that's going to make the fight pretty easy. The ending, if you try and do it normally, can be really difficult, but there is a way to kind of make it super easy. Really would have liked that to be a 3-star punch. That is one thing, though, that also kind of makes Mr. Sandman title defense kind of a bit easier than in Contender. If you try and counter the Dreamland Express, or if you try and hit him when he's about to do the Dreamland Express, he'll do another move, and that just kind of lets you... It's pretty easy to dodge, so it kind of just lets you stun him and do extra damage. It does, though, depend on... I completely forgot that he was just about to do that. I think it does depend on which direction you try and hit him. If you try and hit him with a attack from the right, he'll do that super, like, easy, predictable move that you can easily dodge. If you try and hit him from the left, he actually does, like, an insanely quick move that's really hard to dodge. I do think, though, that's kind of what makes Mr. Sandman pretty difficult, is the winking can be very difficult to dodge with how fast it is, and kind of difficult to counter. And every time you get up for being knocked down, he does it again. So it's like, you got knocked down, and now he's doing a harder attack. But that is kind of how to make the final thing he does a bit easier, is since he's constantly switching back and forth, even though he is attacking really fast, if you can just get 2 stars on him, just a left and then a right, or a right and then a left, star, and then you have enough time to just instantly do a 2-star punch, and that's gonna instantly knock him out, because he has such little health at that point. And so, like Soda Popinski and a lot of other fights, it probably gets really, really tricky with how much he's doing.
You really sure? 3 losses and you call it quits?
If you were to have to go to round 2 or 3, because then he's more unpredictable, he's not doing his
Let's go out on top, kid. It's time to take your place in
final rush as much. And so it probably becomes a little bit more unpredictable, but as long as you get him in the first round, like, for a lot of these fights, as long as you know how to get enough stars and you can beat them in the first round, that's what makes it so much... makes those fights so much easier than if you were to be doing them normally. But yeah, at this point, we just kind of idle here because we have to lose 3 times. So It's going to be in our best interest just to lose.
And one.
I do wonder what the, might be worth looking into at some point. What is the fastest fights to lose on? Because you don't have to get up here, so he doesn't have to TKO me, he just has to KO. So just one knockdown, and we lose.
10. Knockout.
And I wonder what the fastest is to get that first knockdown.
Okay, kid.
And I would guess maybe Mr. Sandman, just because of how fast he attacks, especially right at the beginning. Possibly Soda Popinski. It'd have to be one of those later fights, though. Possibly Bald Bull, I think. At least we'll try and look at the in-game clock. It went down to exactly 2 minutes with Disco Kid. But the in-game clock's not that reliable, necessarily, for time. Because it doesn't count down in real time. The seconds are actually dependent... Oh, Donkey Kong. Interesting. Alright, I may have to actually do stuff with Donkey Kong. He's kind of like Dom Flamenco, to where he's not really going to attack you until you try attacking him. Okay, so that was 2:32 instead of 2 minutes flat. But the seconds that it counts aren't real seconds.
6. 7.
They're a lot faster than real seconds. And then also, how quickly those seconds count down actually depends on what's going on in the fight. When the fight's just progressing normally, it's going to count down really fast. But then if a character's like doing a specific animation, like if they're charging up for a special, if they're doing a taunt or something, the timer will actually start counting down slower. So you can't count it as real seconds because it's not actually real time. It could be that because the clock started moving slower at this point, it makes it look like it was faster than another fight. But maybe that other fight was actually faster just because he wasn't doing so many animations. As you can see, that is not real seconds. But 2:32 again, was that the same for Donkey Kong? 2:32? I think it was. But that did seem way faster for Aaron Ryan to do it than Donkey Kong, because I wasn't having to make him do animations. I wasn't having to try punching him first to make him do an attack. And, Donkey Kong did that one really long animation in the middle, whereas Aaron Ryan didn't. He was just constantly on the attack.
Good job, son. Good job.
But yeah, that's the end of Punch-Out! Actually, like, quite a bit shorter than I thought it was going to be. Less than an hour and a half. I was thinking this was going to be more 2 hours. An hour per game mode, but I severely underestimated how short Contender is. And I mean, an hour and a half? It took me only half an hour to do Contender, so it was a near double the time to do Title Defense compared to Contender. And again, this game is only a viable game for this challenge just because I've played it so many times. I know all the fights so well that even if I struggle a little on some, like I did Piston Hondo and Bear Hugger, I can still beat them pretty easily. And so yeah, that is 19 games beaten so far in 7 days. Could have been a little more if I had had more time tomorrow, or yesterday rather. But sometimes days where I just don't have enough time is gonna happen. Hopefully it doesn't happen often. But I do still have... I don't know, I don't have as much time left for today as I thought I did. This might be the only game I end up doing today. But it could just be I'm getting to a point to where I don't quite have so many, like, of the multiple games to do in a row. I might find some of those more later. I've looked into a couple games on, like, how long to beat and looking at long plays. There are a few that seem really short, but I'm not familiar with them, so I'm not sure if I can do them super well. But at this point, I think I'm just going to try and gauge how much time I have. If I do have a lot of time, I can try and do more than one game. But if I can just stick with being able to do at least one game a day, that would be pretty good. But again, it is gonna all depend on how much I can do. Yeah, so far 19 games in 7 days.